Good morning from sunny Walnut Creek, California. Beautiful day out today. Anyway, couple of things since I last posted on Facebook. I've got a website set up so you can find out more about coaching, and you can book a 15-minute introductory call and we can talk about what I do, maybe some things that you're looking to discuss or resolve. So I'll put a link here or here, I guess. So you can go there and check it out. I've also created like a YouTube channel, and that'll just be where I put some of these videos on YouTube, and they can just be, like a, hey Paul, it can just be a library, so you can come back to it later. Anyway, so I wanted to do like a mini series. So I wanted to talk about why people don't or can't live in the present moment. Sort of, this is where life is. This is where life happens. But a lot of people, me included, probably spend a lot of my time living in the past or wishing for something in the future, and how if you let that happen, you actually are denying your present moment and you're not able to enjoy what's going on right now. So I'm going to talk about living in the past now, and I'll do another one about what happens when you're not really living, when you're trying to live in the future. I'll do that later. That will come up. So talk about living in the past. So I guess I want to start with kind of how the mind works and how you perceive the world right now. So the way I think of it is, inside your mind you have this rule book, and that rule book is really made up of all the different experiences you've had, good or bad, things you've been told, your education, your parents, things that happened as a child. And when you perceive something in the world, you pass it through this rule book and you attach some sort of significance to it. And that's really how you perceive the world. Now, the problem with that is that a lot of these rules, that all these experiences that you had when you're like a young child, are baked into this rule book. When you're a young child, often what happens is you develop like coping mechanisms, because for some reason, for some point in your life and some crucial stage of development, you didn't get love or support in some way that you needed, and that's through no fault of your parents. It happens, but what it ends up doing is you develop a coping mechanism for that situation, which works fine when you're a child. Unfortunately, most people carry these through to when you're an adult. The problem there is that these coping mechanisms then become irrational and irrelevant, and you start, well, this is kind of where you start developing sort of issues around self-worth, self-confidence, and that sort of thing. Now, the other thing that tends to happen is that you tend to fall into roles when you're younger, and you obviously you're not able to get out of those roles when you grow up. So the classic example, I think, is the sort of parent-child role. Like, your parents fall into a role of being a parent, and you fall into a role of being a child, and you may fall into the role of trying to be a good child, trying to impress your parents or look for your parents' sort of validation on anything you do. Now, the problem there is that carries on into adulthood, and if you still got that in your sort of 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, you're not living your current life. You're living your life based on past experiences and this rule book which is developed in your childhood. So kind of what happens when you do this is that you start having these old emotions come up. So you'll be in a situation as an adult, and you'll have this old emotion. It will be triggered because of something's happened. You've experienced something run through your rule book and you've decided that actually I need to respond as if I was a 5-year-old child, and this emotion comes up, which now means you're essentially living a life in the past. Your past conditioning, your past experiences are completely dominating how you're living life right now. And then this kind of manifests itself because you start making limiting decisions, excuse me, decisions based on what's going on in the past, decisions based on irrational emotions and fears. And then you start carrying this baggage through your life, and it starts accumulating. Now, this can kind of manifest itself quite often in terms of guilt, resentment, anger, grievances to other people. You're not able to let something go. Hostility towards people or towards situations or groups of people. And if you let this continue, you're unable to enjoy life right now, where life really happens. You're trapped. You're a prisoner to the past. You're a prisoner to these irrational fears and thoughts and experiences that are not relevant anymore. Often what happens after that is you start trying to numb the past. So numbing can turn into things like addictions, drinking, smoking, drugs, but then you can do all sorts of things. I mean, workaholics, sex, because you're fundamentally unhappy with the way you feel. The emotions that come up from your old rule book in the past are causing you to suffer. So you try and numb the feelings. You try and get away from the present moment, and this all compounds to make things difficult and fundamentally to make you unhappy and suffer. So what can you do? So what we need to do is to go back to the past. When do these emotions start happening? When do these thought patterns start happening? If we can go back and release them, if we can kind of go back and reprogram that rule in that rule book, so that when that event happens, you don't have this old emotion being triggered, which is causing you to suffer now. If you do that, you'll suddenly find that if you find yourself drinking more than you would like to, if you smoke, a lot of these addictions, which are your kind of coping mechanism to not feel this pain, won't have a reason to exist. If you fundamentally can remove the trigger for the suffering's not there, you won't need to drink. You won't need to do these things that you do right now. You can start living life for what it is right now. You can start being fundamentally happy. I mean, happy not just enjoying the odd joke, but that deep-seated feeling of happiness because you are in touch with yourself and you're able to live in this moment where life happens, not in the moment 10 years, 20, 30 years ago. So yeah, I wanted to bring that up. So if you get in touch with me, I have, like I said, I put the link in the comments there. I have some techniques and a process around trying to help people through something like this. So I know there's people out there who feel like this. I've had conversations with people and I can talk with people about this. So if you're finding that this is something that you want to help get over, drop me a message or go to the website and you can book the call and we can talk further. And I'd love to hear from you. So next time I'll talk more about living in the future, which is more sort of denying the present moment because you're wishing for something in the future. But I'll explain more later. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and we'll catch you soon. All right, bye-bye.